Not only are hoverboards dangerous to ride, or you need to be cautious, we've also seen several cases of them actually exploding, which brings up a really important topic for parents who are buying gifts for their kids this holiday. Dr. Mitchell Goldman with UCSD is now joining us to talk about hoverboards in particular, but also other toys that can pose a hazard. Thank you so much for being here first.
Good to be here, Misha.
You know, clearly parents spend hundreds of dollars on toys every year. So I'm just wondering first, like, how big is this problem in terms of, injuries or being a hazard?
Well, there's basically two kinds of injuries. One is for younger kids, it's swallowing things, and we'll talk about that. And for older kids, it's on things that move like hoverboards. And the problem with hoverboards was pointed out by the state legislature, is you can actually fall down. So even though there's over 250,000 ER visits every year from Christmas-related, toy-related accidents, the hoverboards are what's going to cause things like broken arms, broken legs, broken wrists, concussions. That's why it's very important to wear a helmet, and it is important to have a lot of control on it. I don't know if I agree with the 15 years old. I'm sure someone 11 can ride it just as well, but still, you don't want to be riding at 80 miles an hour down the street.
Of course not. So when we're talking about hazards and injuries, now getting away from hoverboards for a little bit, what is the age range of people, and what should be parents really paying attention to in terms of toys?
What we really should be paying attention to when we have young kids, like kids less than a year or two old, is putting things in their mouth. We all know that kids like to put everything in their mouth. And so if you give a kid a teddy bear, which actually we did to my daughter when she was less than one, and she pulls a button off and sticks it in her mouth, she can choke. And so you have to be very, very careful. Now there's other types of hazards like balloons. Balloons are actually the leading cause of choking in young kids, because they'll try to eat a balloon because they're nice and colorful and everything, and it gets lodged down. And so it's very important for kids to be looking at kids not to put things in their mouth. Now we see also here things like lead and chromium, and those are actually parts of paint which are found in many different kinds of objects.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about next. It seems hard to believe that we are still talking about things like lead, but that is still a very big issue. So first of all, what should parents be looking for in terms of before they buy, but then symptoms of their children getting sick from it?
Well, there's two types of lead problems. One is in antique toys. So, antique toys are really cool, and the antique toys have lead paint. But there's a number of other toys that you can get mostly from China that also contain lead, not only in the paint but also in the plastics. And so you want to be careful of kid mouthing on them. And so they need to have some sort of certification. It's almost impossible for us to test. It's something more for consumer safety organizations to test a toy to make sure that it doesn't have something like lead in it. But another thing that was listed was batteries. Batteries are actually very dangerous to swallow, and magnets are yet another, because if a kid swallows magnets, they actually can stick together in the intestines or the stomach, causing ulcerations. And so, these are basic things. Young kids, you don't want them putting things in their mouth. Older kids, they have to be safe, wearing helmets when they're riding on equipment.
All really important and good advice. Of course, we want our holidays to be happy and kids to have a big smile when they open their gifts, but also to be careful. Dr. Mitchell Goldman, thank you so much.
And happy holidays to you,
And
Nisha.
to you as well. Thank you.